FIA are a bunch of jackasses.
Max won the sprint. Oscar won the race. The FIA doesn't like the rain.
Jackasses.
And Lando is just a professional bottler at this point.
And we can quickly go over Bottas signing with Cadillac.
Possibly, yep. Let's talk about it, boys. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Around the Circuit, Apollo Media's Formula One podcast. As always, I'm Junior, joined by my boy Mark and Ivan. We're here today. We raced in Spa this weekend. We got a new little setup we're testing out, see how it looks and how it feels.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah, we feel a little more legit, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was a Spa. I love the track. But man, these cars are they're just too big for these classic tracks,
they're
man.
too fast too.
It's just, man. McLaren got another one too. And in the race. We'll talk about the race. I mean,
yeah.
McLaren got another one too.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis was possessed and drove his ass off from the pit lane.
Remember he was Lewis Hamilton?
He remembered he was Lewis. He remembered who the fuck he was for a second there. Went from P18 in the pit lane start to P7. He finished P7.
P7.
We had Gabby in the points.
Yeah.
We had Liam Lawson in the points.
Yeah.
Max finished P4. Charles took another podium.
Yeah.
Like I said, another 1-2 from McLaren. Man, the car, I read today that pretty much the rest of the top teams, they're done.
Yeah.
They're done. No more upgrades, no more performance. What they got is what they got. And I think it's safe to say McLaren has effectively won the Constructors' Championship. And it's a fight to see if Yuki runs into any more bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. Yeah. So it's looking like Ferrari's going to run away with second place. Mercedes has disappeared. I know Kimi has had some bad luck, and we can get into that with everything going on with him. All four Red Bulls were in Q3. The Mekis effect, possibly. Yeah. I don't know. Not a lot of hard racing, but a lot of storylines coming out of it.
Yeah.
Cadillac still unsure, but Bottas pretty much said, "Fuck no, I'm not going to Alpine."
Yeah.
Sorry, Ivan.
Yeah, I was not having high hopes on anybody wanting to go there. It's at the point now where somebody's gonna be forced to be like, well, it's the only spot that's left. So.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So. Yeah, Oscar won. Lando had pole. What are our thoughts coming out of another McLaren 1-2 with Oscar winning?
Man, you know my thoughts. I've tried to get behind Lando, but it's just clear now he doesn't have it.
He don't have it.
He doesn't have it to be a champion. Just in this year, I guess. Yeah. We can see in the future, but right now Lando's not winning a championship.
My thing is, if we see in the future, I mean, he's already on year 6, year 7.
Yeah.
I mean, what we got whole new reg changes where McLaren's probably going to lose their dominance, it's going to get at least more competitive.
This was your 1 year.
This was his year. This was his year.
This is my championship.
Oscar is, I mean, granted, it's still only like a 16-point gap, but Oscar seems like he's doing everything he can to run away with, become the champion.
The guy lost first in a rolling start. I think I'm done here.
I can't believe he bottled that so bad, man.
So bad. And immediately, we all watched the race together.
Yeah, we watched it together.
Yeah. And immediately, we were just like, oh, Oscar's running away with this.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get the favorite pit stops. And Lando's not going to be able to catch up.
And even with Lando going to the hards so that he could push and try to catch up, I mean, how many times did we see him go wide, lock up? Just mistake after mistake after mistake. Yeah. He had nobody behind him. Charles wasn't catching him. The only thing he had to do was catch Oscar, and he couldn't do it. There was no rain. Yeah. The FIA killed the race, a wet race. So, I don't know, man.
I don't have any idea. Like I said, like I told you all pre-show, I went back and actually rewatched the race. Don't ask me why. I had a lot of free time. But I still don't understand. Why did he take off so early on the rolling start? You control the grid.
He literally,
we've had 2 weeks in a row where Oscar's like crawling to the finish line, and then he's like, all right, I'm out. He took off before the last 2 turns at Spa. That nobody ever does that. And he gave Oscar all the momentum he need because, you took off at a good rate of speed, but guess what? you gave him a slipstream. You cleared it out because it's wet now. Like you literally had one advantage was taking off whenever I want to as slow as I can.
Yeah.
And he just like blew that before the race, literally before the race even started.
Ruined it, used up his battery, and he had nothing to even try to contest Oscar once Oscar got past him. I mean, it was adios, see you later.
Yeah. I mean, towards the end, the hards came into effect. He started to catch up.
Yeah.
Then going out of turn 1, I don't even remember exactly what he did wrong. He just did something wrong.
I mean, he had at least 2 lockups. There was a couple of times where he went wide. Like, it was just, you can just pick a couple of moments where you're like, all you have to do is keep it on the track, don't overdrive it, and catch up. You have the tire advantage. Granted, the pit stop didn't help him. They screwed him over a little bit on that. But even with the bad pit stop, I mean, he had to give way to Oscar. But, I mean, that's what happens when you lose first on a rolling start. I mean, they did the first 4 laps under a safety car. Yeah. It wasn't like, I don't want to get into it too much, but I just don't understand the FIA's thought process on that either, because we've raced in worse conditions. Silverstone, I mean, and granted, a lot of people were like, okay, Silverstone was kind of bad. The conditions were bad. You know, we don't want to do what we did in Brazil again last year, which, I mean, Max had no problems, but that's neither here nor there. My thing is, when you have Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, 11 world championships between the both of them, fucking over 150 wins between the both of them, and they're both saying we should have started this race an hour ago. Yeah. At what point do you think, we've talked about it before, the only consistency in the FIA is the inconsistency. Yeah. It's insane. It's insane to me that we couldn't, everybody was looking forward to it, like, we're going to race in the rain at Spa. Let's go. Literally all week. I'm not saying they should have thrown it out there when it was pouring rain. I mean, at one point, we saw, I don't know if y'all saw the pictures from the F2 race that got canceled. It was bad. That I understand. Yeah. You wanted to dry out. But they effectively ruined, everybody started on inners and were in by like lap 10. Yeah. And the first 4 laps were under the safety car. Like before lap 10, 15, between 10 and 15, everybody was pitting. Yeah. There's only 44 laps in Spa. Yeah. It's a long track.
So like I said, I've rewatched the race and I've watched some other people's opinions on it. The only thing I can come out to like as a reasoning for it, I don't agree with the standing start, or sorry, with the rolling start. I think even when we were all watching it together, we all said, all right, either you start it later or you do the rolling start. You don't do both at the same time. Yeah. That didn't make any sense. It's a dilemma that only in one way, and it's this reason. If it was any other track, they would have gone when they went out for their formation lap, they would have gone like normal. Because it's Spa, I feel like that's the only reason. And it's literally, and I don't mean to like cast a shadow over the track, but it's literally the only track in the past 10 years that Formula One runs at where literally you've had deaths at because of the rain. Yeah. And I feel like that's the only track where they are extra cautious at. Yeah. And I know, and I can understand the caution for that, but it's such a weird dilemma that the FIA is put in on that situation, because you have drivers like Max and Lewis who are masters at this track, but you also have drivers like Charles and Pierre who literally lost a friend there. So they're always going to be on the cautious side and say, especially at that track, and say, no. And even Lando, who I've seen clips of people saying, like, Lando was like saying, don't start it yet. Lando had a spin out there like 5 years ago at Spa where
it was pretty bad.
It was horrible raining, and the drivers were saying, stop it. And they were like, no, this is what we do. We're Formula One. We race in this. And then Lando had a terrible wreck. So if it was literally any other track, I think that's why we went at Silverstone. But then it also doesn't help that literally last week at Silverstone, or the last race at Silverstone, you had a driver run into the back of another driver because he literally could not see in front of him.
Mm-hmm. And I understand the caution. Don't get me wrong. I know there was a meeting held, especially after Silverstone, where a lot of the drivers expressed their concern. I get it. You want to be a little more cautious. These cars are going faster than they ever have. They're bigger than they've ever been. A lot could happen. But I feel like you got to find that line. And this weekend, FIA definitely went over it and was like overly cautious.
Especially when you look at it. I mean, they were in the safety car. They waited until it was almost completely dry. Yeah. Like, I get it. You want to be safe.
If they wanted to do a rolling start under a safety car, they could have done it after like a lap or two.
Yeah.
4 laps.
Have to do 4.
I mean, that's a long lap.
We were literally sitting there thinking lap by lap, like, hey, are we going to get started?
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't agree with a lot of the things Max says, but I agree with him there. Like, we could have started that race probably 2 laps ago. It would have allowed at least for a little bit of wet racing to happen. It's like the FIA is like, damned if you do, damned if you don't, but they overcorrected like so bad this week.
Yeah, they definitely did.
It was such an overcorrection because the drivers were saying, like you said, don't go with Silverstone. Maybe was a little too wild. Let's tone it down. But then they were like, all right, well then we won't go till it's almost bone dry then. And no, that's not what we meant.
And I think I read a tweet somebody said, and I agree with it for the most part. It's a lot of drivers coming out of the sprint, going into qualifying, made changes to their car. I say this because Max was one of them, but I think Lewis was another one. There was quite a few drivers that made adjustments because they were expecting a wet race, and it almost felt like they were punished for being prepared for the race.
Yeah.
Is that the FIA's intent? No, we know like, that's a little much, but it's what it felt like because they set up their cars for a wet race. I mean, at least for my favorite driver, Max, he got screwed in Silverstone. They set him up for They didn't set him up for a wet race. He had to race in the wet. We saw what happened there.
Yeah.
But then he sets up for a wet race, and we get pretty much a dry race, and he's screwed anyways. He couldn't catch Charles. There was no, nothing. And so, and he wasn't the only one this weekend that had a setup for the rain that pretty much got screwed over. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. And then you look at Yuki, had his best qualifying performance with Red Bull, and then he gets screwed over by his own pit crew, by his own team.
He literally asked them, box, and then they had a 3-second delay, and they were like, box.
And he was already past the pit lane.
He's like, what the hell, dude? I'm asking right now.
I forget which one of you saw it on Twitter. You showed me the video of him like literally hitting the car because he was so mad at the end of the race.
Because by the time he got done with that lap on those inners that were torn apart, and then he goes through the pit lane, he lost like 6 places on that easily. I mean, he started the race P7. I was expecting at least a points finish, and then I think he finished P12. It's tough. That's tough. And then Isaac Hadjar, because I mentioned all four drivers from Red Bull teams made it into Q3. They were all in the top 10. Isaac Hadjar ended up finishing last. So I did see that they did have an issue with the car. Remember, I kept telling y'all that. I was like, man, there's got to be something wrong. There's no way he dropped that.
There's no way.
So he had an issue with the car, ended up finishing last. I mean, kudos to him for at least finishing the race. At one point, I swore they were going to go ahead and retire him. But
when he came in for that first stop, I was like, oh, yeah, they're retiring
I will say, the new era of Red Bull beginning, kind of like they said on the announcement. So when Max won the sprint, I think it was Crofty said the new Red Bull era starts off with the win, because Max pulled that overtake on Oscar, never looked back, fought him off for 15 laps, won the sprint, kept both McLarens behind him. It was amazing. The Mekis effect might be something real at Red Bull. I mean, the team, there was a problem with Isaac, and there was the whole mishap with the pit stops for Yuki. And it's always if, like Max said. But the team looked promising on all 4 cars for once this weekend, coming out of the sprint and qualifying. I mean, the sprint wasn't so great for Yuki, but once he got that floor upgrade, Red Bull looked like they were going to at least get points on all 4 cars. Didn't work out that way, but I mean, Liam finishing the points.
Red Bull seemed a lot more comfortable this weekend.
They did.
I think they kind of enjoyed and this is also the Christian effect. I think they enjoyed only one of their people being in the news, and it wasn't for something negative. So they were all cherishing it. They were like, yes, we understand we replaced the only team principal we've known, but at the same time, it was like they could all breathe now, and they're like, okay, we can actually talk about complaints because we feel like they're going to be listened to. Like Yuki did and they put the floor on there, and they actually finally pulled some stuff out of the reserve pile from Verstappen, which, I mean, that is something that's been available, and I know Christian would have been like, well, Yuki needs to perform first, and we can put the parts on there. Whereas now Mekis is like, let's give it a shot. It can't be worse than what we've been having right now. And I appreciated that.
We talked about it. It's a little bit of a gamble, because if something does happen to Max's car, now there's no spare part there. You got to pull it off of Yuki's. You start running into issues there, but you're not going to win the Constructors. You're probably not winning the Drivers' Championship unless Max has some magical last 10 races of the season.
Then both McLarens crash.
Yeah, both McLarens decide to just go haywire. why not? You know, as the Max fan here, I would say why not? You know, it's worth the gamble to at least, if nothing else, build some confidence in Yuki, because that's where he struggled, I think, too.
We talked about it when this move first happened, and we talked about it. Was this a move to either like keep Max, or is like Max gone and you did this? And it looks like now this was to keep Max, and this was for like overall for Red Bull to be better.
Yeah, I think coming out of some of the statements that came out this weekend, Toto pretty much said, no, we're going to stick with George and Kimi. Those are our drivers. George is going to get his contract. I would love to have Max, but it's not looking realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, with his finish, Max is essentially not going to finish out of the top 3. So the exit clause is dead.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a legit payout. Like, it would be a hassle for him to get out of his contract with Red Bull next year. And like somebody said, I think one of y'all might have sent the tweet I saw too. Somebody said, you know, Laurent, he took a responsibility for what happened with Yuki with the whole pit stop and everything afterwards. You know, in an interview, he said, you know, we kind of screwed that up, so we're sorry to Yuki. You know, he did what he could, and everybody was like, "Is that a Red Bull principal taking responsibility for something, taking accountability?" Like, it's unheard of, because we know how Christian was. He's still a very successful team principal, but we know how he was. It's like I said, it almost seems like there's a huge culture shift. For once, the team, there was no drama coming out of the team. It was other than, hey, this is your first race without Christian Horner. Max wins a sprint, and all 4 of your cars get into Q3 at qualifying. You really can't ask for much better other than all 4 of them finishing in the points.
Yeah.
Which almost happened, I guess.
Yeah.
So
besides Yuki, the only like controversy Red Bull even had this weekend was Nico putting Jos on the spot.
We talked about
that. We talked about that. We talked about it. I mean, not even just that. Nico Rosberg was on a war path this weekend with the mic. Yeah. It was funny to see, because we all know how Nico Rosberg is. He doesn't have a filter at all. You know, there's not much filter, and I mean, he was getting after it. So it was enjoyable to watch away from the track, you know, especially because there was an 1.5-hour delay.
Yeah,
you know, there was little things we got to see. I think it's also worth noting, speaking of Nico, the other Nico, the Hulk. He, after, you know, the successful weekend he had at Silverstone, he ended up having to concede position to Gabby, and Gabby drove his ass off. Gabby, you know, at one point they made them swap during the race, and Gabby ended up finishing like P8, P9.
Yeah, I think he finished right behind Lawson.
Yeah. So, I mean, kudos to Gabby. Yeah. I mean, that Sauber, man, something's in that car, man. Because at least one of them are finishing in the points almost every weekend now. That team has, I think, collectively outscored Red Bull almost. Yeah, you know, in the last few races at least.
Yeah. You want to go? Okay. Definitely coming out of Silverstone when Hulkenberg got that podium. Obviously, with the conditions and everything, it lined up perfectly for him. But I mean, you looked at it and you went, okay, like Sauber, like they're making moves over there. I don't know what they're doing in the car, but it's working. But we see it this week. I mean, Hulkenberg probably would have been in the points if
he finished P12.
Yeah,
so
he was 2 places off. So I mean, that's good, especially when you look towards next year when they're about to turn into Audi.
Yeah, and you know, they've essentially built their team. I think I said this last week. They've essentially built their team to be prepared to go into Audi. I mean, they got Binotto on the team. They got Jonathan Wheatley as a team principal. They got 2 solid drivers in the Hulk and Gabby. I mean, Gabby's a rookie, but he won the F2 championship last year. So, I mean, there's promise there. Every rookie's going to have their struggles, especially in a car like Sauber. But when he's getting what he can out of it, especially points, I mean, what more can you really ask for?
Yeah.
I think the rookie that we got to kind of mention, other than the Alpine boys, because sorry, Ivan.
Colapinto is...
I think it's safe to say this is probably Colapinto's last year in the car, if he even survives the summer break.
Yeah.
I'm sure... You know, there's. I heard something about that Flavio might be looking at Aaron Paul for the second half of the season, just because either that or going back to Jack.
Let's put a new person that hasn't had any experience in the car in the Alpine. That'll fix it for sure, guys.
But I think it's worth noting Kimi, his struggles that he's had lately.
Yeah.
He has run into a lot of bad luck, but he even admitted it. He's struggling with the confidence. I think he had a very successful start to the season. And then now you look at some of the bad luck, the engine problems, the little mistakes here and there. I think it's kind of gotten to his head. He's still an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. You're racing for a top 4 team in the sport. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And I've seen some people saying, well, maybe they need to move him back down to Williams. And you don't do that. That won't do anything but crush him more, in my opinion. No. I think if you're Toto, you really, especially come this summer break, official summer break, you got to sit him down right before he goes home and say, hey, look, overall, you've had a great first half. Take a breather. Enjoy your time home for these next 2 weeks. Yeah. Get some practice in on the sim if you got time, or whatever it is that he's going to do, whatever it is they do on their break. Recoup, let your body rest, come back in these last 10 races, and let's get after it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the beginning of the season, Mercedes looked amazing.
Yeah.
Like, Mercedes looked like they were going to be competing for second place,
Yeah.
Which they kind of are right now, but, considering what's happened over the past couple of races, it doesn't look great. But, yeah, it just turned into the perfect storm where all these mistakes are happening, and now, obviously, the mentality is probably, like, the confidence is not there anymore. We saw it on race day, Lewis going into the Mercedes area to we meet with Kimi. So it's nice to see that because I think Lewis has been a big supporter of Kimi since day one.
Yeah. And I think somebody said that that wasn't the main reason he went in there, but he did have words with Kimi. Even Kimi said, we talked for a few minutes. That's just, we've talked about it. No. That's just kind of guy Lewis is. Yeah. He's other than Max, there's not really them two are probably the biggest supporters of the rookies. You see how they flock to those two guys outside of the track. All the rookies do nothing but praise those two because they're the two goats in the sport right now. You know what I mean? But it's nice to see, that it's not like old times where they didn't really look after these rookies. Yeah. They're still competitors, but they know these kids are the future of the sport. Somebody's got to pick them up,
Yeah.
I'm going to put my conspiracy theory hat on here because I've seen some people mention this. So the directive that happened in Spain, some things have been happening that have been kind of weird ever since that ended. So I know everybody was looking at McLaren as being the team to look at. Mercedes suddenly took a jump back. RB suddenly took a jump back. And then for some reason, I know they brought an update, but still, somehow Sauber got back into the top 10 out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Alpine's been Alpine. They went from 7th to 10th, so it's not that big of a drop. But there are some teams, and even I think George Russell kind of alluded to it this weekend. There are some teams that this has affected that everybody's kind of just been not paying attention because it's not McLaren, so nobody really cares.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to notice a trend now, and that's, when Antonelli had his good run, it was in Miami. Literally 3 races later is when they had the directive happen, and then it's been downhill ever since then. Something has happened with Mercedes for sure. I think they're the team that got hit the most by this, and nobody's really kind of mentioning it. I think they're the team that's probably doing the flexi wing stuff the most. I think Red Bull had a little bit of it, but not that much because Max obviously has been able to do good.
Yeah, I think that car's just been
Yuki's been improving a little bit.
Dumpster.
Ironically, I think it was RB that was doing it more than Red Bull. RB has had from going constant top 10s to all of a sudden Isaac. I know he's had car trouble, but Isaac's been struggling to get top 10s. Liam's been getting 9th places, and that's all he can get. So I think some of these teams have now been hit by the directive more than others, and I think it's safe to say I don't think McLaren was doing the flexi wing thing. So I think that's why, the past couple weeks, that seems like their car has gotten better, even though they've only added a few upgrades. To me, I feel like maybe McLaren wasn't doing it, but other teams were. And I think that's the reason Red Bull was the only one being so loud about that directive, because I feel like there's a reason Toto wasn't saying anything, because he's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. We don't need this. And he's like, all right, we're going to have this happen. Our car is going to be messed up now. So I do think that directive kind of affected some teams, but also I do Kimi, for me, he's hit a rookie slump. We've called in sports, everybody says sophomore slump, but he's just hit his slump now where he's going to some tracks, even if he knows them, he just doesn't have the confidence in the car. Mm-hmm. I don't know who needs a summer break more than Kimi right now. probably Max just because of all the drama he's been going through. But like Kimi is probably right up there with him. I just think like this directive is something that Mercedes is going to try to tackle over the break because it's something I don't think anybody saw affecting them since they were looking at, all right, it's going to hit Red Bull or McLaren the worst. It's actually hit some of the midfield and like back of the grid teams too. And I think Ferrari's benefited from it too because I mean, they took a step up ever since Spain too. So
I think other than Lewis running into terrible luck,
I would love to see at the end of the season. We'll probably try to do this, but like a comparison of the season prior to Spain and then what happened to the grid after Spain.
Sure, it'd be something we could look at for
sure. We can look at that
because I mean, even George said it. Mercedes was fighting for podiums in the first 6 races pretty consistently. They were hitting podiums pretty consistently. They've had one in the last 4 races, I think.
Yeah.
Or last 6 races, they've had one podium. And I think that was Kimi's. Lewis had a rough weekend, but shout out to him. I think we already said P18, pit lane start to P7, and then Charles locked down P3.
Yeah.
He had that great qualifying lap, just edged out Max, and then he never gave up the position. Max did what he could, but with the setup and the Spa just being what it was this year, where there just wasn't a whole lot of overtaking outside of Lewis doing what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, Ferrari looks like they're going to lock out second place. I think if Red Bull had a stronger start with their second car, maybe they put up a fight, but it's only Max getting points. So it's hard to say that it's going to be anybody other than Ferrari in second place.
Yeah, it was great to see after what had transpired. Sprint qualifying, sprint race, and then the qualifying. Just hell for me. Honestly, I told you on the group chat, like after Lewis got out of Q1, I was about to crash out. I was like,
we talked about how we might have jinxed him, and I said maybe I just won't pick Lewis or Max for anything
we were
anymore.
Getting messages left and right about how we jinxed Lewis all weekend. I mean, there's a reason his motto is still I rise. I mean, he's pushed through. He persevered this weekend. Like, I mean, we were all watching it in person. Like, man, with those first couple laps, I know he probably relived that in a dream like that last night. Because, man, he was killing it through the field. Lewis was having one of those classic Lewis races. That's what makes me even more upset that they didn't start the race like 2 laps earlier. Because he probably would have got further ahead. And then the deleted lap is honestly in qualifying as well, probably what cost him his whole entire weekend. Like, if that deleted lap doesn't happen, he probably has a better chance to be closer to Charles, next to Charles. And I think that's the person that, I mean, even though he finished on the podium, man, talk about just a quiet weekend and still get a podium is Charles. I mean, he was the epitome of consistency this weekend. He knew the limitations of the car. He told his team to shut up, which I feel like that's every freaking week now with Ferrari, where he's like, I understand feeding drivers information, but it's getting to the point where both Lewis and Charles are like, enough, dude.
And plus, the information was, hey, Max is 1.2. Like, Charles doesn't look in the rearview mirror and see Max Verstappen behind him the entire time. I'm pretty sure Charles was like, hey, I know who is behind me, and I know what I have to do. Shut up.
And it's like they're telling him all. They told Lewis, they're like, we need you to press this button, and he's like, is it imperative? And they're like, yeah, we kind of need you to press this button right now. And it's like, Ferrari, how many adjustments do we got to make to this car just to make sure it doesn't explode on one lap?
Yeah, just because we've had a decent weekend doesn't mean that I'm still not going to be all okay with Ferrari. Strategy. Like, something needs to change there. I've been saying it. Something needs to change in the higher-ups or something, because just so far, this season, it's been bad.
It'd be interesting to see if they decide to make any changes. I know there's been some whispers about maybe Fred losing his job. I don't know. I think anything that happens won't be till after the season. So we mentioned it was a sprint weekend. Max won the sprint, so it's worth noting we only have 2 more sprints left this season: Coda and Austin, and then Qatar. I think are the only 2 left after this one.
Got Brazil, don't we? Or Brazil not a sprint this year?
I don't know if Brazil's a sprint this year. It might be. Let me see. Okay, yeah, Brazil is sprint. So we have 3 more this season. But, and I don't know how legit this is. I don't know if anybody really knows how legit it is, but it looks like the Dutch Grand Prix official Twitter page might have accidentally leaked the sprint schedule for next year.
It looks legit.
It looks legit. It's China, Miami, and Canada again. Yeah. Or no. Canada wasn't a sprint this year.
No, it wasn't.
but China and Miami are usually sprints. But it looks like we have Canada, Silverstone, Zandvoort, and Singapore on the sprint schedule for next year. Shout out Zandvoort.
Yeah.
It's their last year on the calendar. You give them a sprint, a lot more racing. I like it. I'm a fan of the decision. Silverstone being such a classic track, and even Canada, those two tracks getting sprints, you really don't need them there, but I understand it, I guess. I mean, it just adds a little more.
I guess it's fine to, switch up the sprints. Like maybe every other year you switch up the sprints, but I mean, I don't dislike the sprints. I mean, I enjoy them.
Me personally, I like watching more racing than more practice sessions. I understand the reasoning and the need to do the practice, the upgrade. I get it. I get it. But I don't know, man. It's just something about throw on your set of tires and get after it for 10, 15.
Even though it's very short,
laps.
which is the purpose. But, we also talked about it when we first saw this, when we were watching the race, how Singapore, like, man, it's already held there for the drivers.
I don't understand Singapore. That was the last one I was going to talk about is a sprint in Singapore. I feel like if that's an official list, man, the drivers are going to have something to say about that because, like you said, we talked about it. We were talking about it when we saw the tweet. How brutal is that going to be on those guys?
That's the one from the list that I don't understand, and taking away Brazil's sprint, because Brazil's sprint every single year. I mean, there's so many memories from sprint races from Brazil. I mean, you think about that weekend. Literally, Lewis had to climb back from back of the grid all the way back up to climbing to win the race that weekend. And we've had other sprint races where Fernando and Checo fighting it out on the final lap that weekend in Brazil. I think they're trying to go in the direction of let's put it at tracks where you can pass a little bit easier, but that eliminates Singapore then. So I don't understand. That's where I'm like losing their logic. I'm like, okay, that track makes sense. Silverstone, I can understand. I think they've hosted one sprint in their history. I can understand. China's the other one, even though we did it even this year. I know it's a larger track, like width-wise, but that's another track where Singapore and China are probably the two where I would probably have to switch them out on my end. Mm-hmm. You got to put those at different tracks. Like, you have to have it. As long as you don't do Monaco, I'm never going to complain. But China's like almost like
I couldn't imagine a sprint at Monaco.
I know, right?
I think the biggest ones to me, the biggest question marks are Silverstone, just because, I mean, Silverstone already gets so much behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it adds a little more excitement, but a lot of the classic fans that are going to go watch at Silverstone don't like sprints. So it's and then in Singapore, I mean, it's just. Can you imagine the Drive to Survive episode after that? We saw last season with George where he was about to pass out, and I couldn't imagine. Couldn't imagine.
Maybe that's their logic. Take it to tracks where all like the classic F1 fans may hate it, and they're like, "You gonna hate extra racing? Really? When you're paying for it, you don't have to see a practice session?
Look,
all right, maybe I don't hate this as much as I thought I did."
Look, I went to COTA last year. I got to watch Max win the sprint there at COTA last year. I was happy. I watched it from the main grandstands. Max crossed the finish line first. I was like, you know what? I love this sprint shit.
Right? I love it.
I was
that was me during China. I was like, hey,
look, man.
Who says sprints aren't races?
Like I said, we take the wins
for
our drivers when we can, because right now it's two boys in a rocket ship that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never forget.
I know that McLaren's illegal. I just can't prove it yet.
Can't prove it yet. Man, the car is so fast, but and we are getting a championship fight. It's not Max dominating. It's more of a fight than we had last year between Max and Lando.
Yeah,
but it just seems so uneventful.
Yeah,
because there's not wheel to wheel. Even in 2021, it was a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah,
it was Max and Lewis crashing every other race.
It just seems like they're sharing wins.
They're sharing wins, and don't get me wrong, there is some to it, but it's not like. At least for the last few races, it seems like it's always because there's a mistake from the other driver that the one wins.
And like Canada was the only time we really got that wheel-to-wheel action.
Yeah.
And then Lando goes for a move goes for a gap that isn't there and then crashes out, giving Oscar.
The fight is there in the points. The fight is not there on the track.
No.
I think is the problem that a lot of people are having, and that's why a lot of people have called this championship fight boring. because, you know, we had 2021, which was insane. And then 2022 was Max and Charles for a little bit, but Ferrari kept screwing away the strategy.
Yeah.
2023 was all Max. And then last year was Max for like the first half, and then Lando started to make some noise, and it just went away. If flamed out. So I don't know, man. I said it last year. I said if McLaren was going to dominate, I think Oscar wins. I have like proof when I said this last year. I think Oscar wins the championship. Lando I don't know. I just don't think he has it. He might prove us wrong, but
I really hope he does prove us wrong. But after this last race, I think
this race was just so hard to watch from him.
Yeah.
He had pole. He had the advantage, but where there was no rain, there was no wet track practically. It was just
all of his energy on the.
He did nothing but bottle it, and it sucks to say if you're a fan of his.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we're trying to like dog him, but it's
just
hard not to. Just a little bit. It's hard not to.
It's hard not to after this
It's hard
last
not
race.
to after this race. After this race, any argument against it, you know, I've seen some Lando fans online like, well, the team had to prioritize Oscar after Lando screwed it up. So we'll see. I mean, we got 11 more races left.
Also, you got a point.
I did get a point.
You picked Lewis.
I got a point. I picked Lewis to win driver of the day.
Finally, one of us got a point.
I picked him to win driver of the day because I thought he was going to come P2 and be on podium.
Yeah.
But hey, I'll take the point where I can get it.
Point.
Hold on. I'm going to pull it up.
While you looked it up, I'll go on my little rant over here to give you plenty of time.
Go
anyway.
ahead.
All right. So if there's one thing that this past race has taught me, if the bronze season from like 2010 happened today, everybody would not be able to accept that season ever. Because I'll just take a flashback for a second. So the Braun year, the year before, literally they turn into Mercedes. Braun comes up with the double diffuser. So it's a thing that literally no other team has. It's given them all the wins at the beginning of the year. Everybody says it should be illegal. The FIA rules, it's not illegal. So every team then puts it on their car by like race 8 or 9. Then every team starts beating Braun again because they've caught up to them. If that would have happened today, I feel like that's pretty much my equivalent to McLaren. It's and it's because of their drivers more than the car. Because that year it was Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello, two drivers who were good drivers, had wins, but like had never been championship contenders.
Yeah.
They were fighting tooth and nail because they knew then this is legit our only chance, brothers. Like, this is our only chance to win a championship. Rubens had literally raced for Ferrari and never had a chance to win a championship because he was Michael Schumacher's teammate. Jensen had been just in the game for so long. It was great. He had that great win in Canada, but like, you know, everybody knows that he's a good driver, but he never had a championship. That's what I compare this year's McLaren teams to. You may not have two drivers that nobody on the grid thinks is the best. It's the same thing as like Rubens and Jensen. But they're still two good drivers, and they both know their situations. It's just one, like Jensen did his year, like Oscar is this year, is taking a greater advantage of that. And I feel like a lot of fans are struggling with that. Just because they have the fastest car doesn't mean they're the best driver, and it's like irking people. It's like, you know, we've been spoiled by Max and Lewis all these years. Yeah. They've had the fastest car and been the best driver. That's happened for like the past, I want to say 8 of the past 10 years, if you want to say. Even Max, when he won his championship, I won't make the argument. He wasn't in the fastest car. He just found a way to beat Lewis, who was in the fastest car that year. But I think a lot of fans are just like pissed off at that point right there. These are not the best drivers. They don't deserve that car. They shouldn't be winning this championship when it's... People forget, dude, this is an engineering competition at the same time as a driver's championship.
And you don't take away from the car or like the team that builds the car. Like I said, I think the problem along with that is that, you know, you see drivers with the caliber of drivers like Max and Lewis who have won all these last few years, when now you see essentially, I mean, Oscar's in what, year 2, year 3?
Yeah. Year 3 right now.
I mean, you got two young drivers who are in a fast car, and it's, you know, they're good enough to win in that car. But like I said, there's just no fight on the track. I think if we got more wheel-to-wheel action amongst them two, there would be no argument. There'd be no complaints. Everyone would be. There's just. It seems more political between the team, and I understand the team also wants to win the constructors, so they don't want to lose cars to crashes and stuff like that. When it was Red Bull and Mercedes, they didn't give a hell about each other's constructor championship points, you know. So I think it's just a weird. like I said, there's more fight in the points than there is actually on the track,
But
and
you
that's
look
where
at Max and Charles going at it. We're all hyped.
yeah,
like, let's go.
I mean,
like
the fight to watch
Yeah.
At Spa this year was for third and fourth place.
Yeah.
You were hoping Max could catch up to Charles and put a fight, and then meanwhile you just had Lewis burning through the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that too, Junior, because I've also seen this other argument made. This is not as bad as 2023. I cannot explain that enough.
No.
Junior has now been welcomed to the world that Mark and I had to live in 2023, where, gee, man, we're fighting for third. Isn't this great right now? That was what 2023 was like for every race but one. So I am so tired of seeing that argument online that this year is worse than 2023. No. There is never going to be another year like that. Max was on one that year. There's never going to be another car like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be other races this year where hopefully a Ferrari can take a win. I will never count Max out on going into a turn one to be able to overtake like he did in the sprint this past weekend. Like, there's going to be other races where McLaren slips up, but it all ties in. It's so weird because everything like we've been talking about today kind of ties in together, because I still think if that directive didn't happen, I feel like we would have a lot closer racing, because the racing before that directive was so much different than it is now. And I feel like because McLaren's the only team that has been bringing upgrades, because they're like, well, I mean, we want to keep our advantage. No other team is really fighting them for wins right now. So I don't want to have to wait till Singapore to see another team win a race. But there's got to be some tracks where this McLaren is not great at. From what it seems like, the faster the speeds, the better this car, the McLaren is. But in slower speeds, it seems like they're not as great there. Because you saw like Lando struggle every single time out of turn one, because that's a slower speed corner, and he could not control that car at all.
I don't know. I don't expect anything other than a McLaren 1-2 for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at now. But to update driver of the day prediction points, sad. We need to. Mark has 2. I have 2. And Ivan has 0.
Yep, I was going to say,
and
I already know
Myra,
that.
her one guess when she was here, she has 0. So
I'm tired.
Hey man, we're what, 13 races in?
It's like, I'm tired.
I'm tired.
We're 13 races in, and we got 4 points between the 4 of us. So
I need one more point.
So Spa happened. We're gonna enjoy the track again one more year before it goes into rotation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This weekend, it's race weekend again. We have Hungary coming up, the Hungaroring. Do we want to even try to predict anything? Okay, so McLaren 1-2, who wins out of the 2 and who takes third place? Because outside of those 2 winning, taking turns winning for McLaren, podium finishes, and that includes 2 wins from Max and 1 from George. George has 5 podiums, Max has 5 podiums, and Charles now has 5 podiums. Those are the only 3 that are putting up multiple podiums next to the McLarens. So it's just up to those 2 to hopefully play spoiler. Those 3 to play spoiler. Yeah. I say those 2 now because Mercedes is disappearing, and I don't want to count out Lewis because he's Lewis Hamilton, but he just hasn't had the luck.
The car, everything, just a complete disaster.
This is one of his most successful tracks, though, that we're going to.
I mean, so was Spa, but
I mean, true, but I mean,
he didn't finish like below 4th before this past. So
the only thing that gives me hope,
I think there's one more streak that 2025 has to ruin for Ferrari has to ruin for Lewis.
There's only one thing that gives me hope in Hungary, pretty much, and it's that I know he's never going to say this. I know Oscar wants to just destroy Lando at that track because of what happened there last time, where he had to be like, is he going to give me this win up?
Yeah,
and then Lando had to make it awkward as hell. I know if there was ever a track where they would want to make contact at, I'm sure it's that track where...
Look, man, last year I had to live through Max's extreme crash out where he went in on the whole team, was fighting with GP on the radio.
That's a general introduction, isn't it?
Queen Hannah, the strategist on Red Bull, she was
crying almost.
I remember at one point Max said, GP told Max something, and Max said, "No, don't tell me that shit. You gave me this shit strategy. I'm trying to save what's left of this race." And then F1 TV or Sky, they cut to Hannah, and you see her like this, like, and understandably, Max was mad, and Max is Max on the radio.
Mad Max.
But man, you could just see the shots of GP and Hannah on that race where they were just like, "Oh God,
that's why
this is the race of the season."
That's why I said what I said.
The way I see it is, Max can't have a worse race this year. I'm not going to predict him on the podium because I don't want to jinx him. But I'm hoping he doesn't have a worse. Knock on wood that he doesn't have a worse race than last year.
Who wants to go first?
I mean, you got it.
Are we doing podium predictions already?
We're going to do podium predictions because there's not many storylines coming out. We'll mention one right before we call it because it's not exactly related to this season. But, I mean, there's not much going into Hungary other than McLaren just looks too strong for anybody right now.
Yeah.
And Aston Martin brought 5 upgrades last week and finished and qualified P19 to P20. But so Aston Martin.
Before I make my prediction, I'll go ahead and just for a flashback. Before we got to Max doing the Rocket League poster last year at Hungary, was GP literally came on because they told Max slowly introduce the tires. Don't overcook them. Max just straight cooks the tires for 2 straight laps. And he just yells out, "That's a general introduction, isn't it?" Yeah. And that was the day Max was not ready for that. Max was not wanting to hear that.
Some gentle introduction, and Max lost it.
Yeah, and that lost it. But
I just sent him over the edge.
For the podium for me, I'm gonna have Oscar winning again. I think this is where. I picked Lewis last week, so I'm gonna pick Charles this time. Okay. I think Charles gets P2. F it, I'm gonna put Max P3. I don't think Lando can get on the podium. One of those 2 McLarens ain't making the podium. I just don't. There's no way because last year Oscar could not catch up to Lando when he was in front of him, and vice versa. Like whenever Oscar was in front of him, he couldn't catch up. One of those 2 is gonna hold the other one back. So I just don't think there's either way both of those 2 end up on there. Now that is copium on top of copium right there, but. That's my prediction, at least.
I think the McLarens are too strong. I do think Oscar's going to win again. I think coming out of that little break we had, Oscar has some confidence. He did what he did in Spa. I think he wins again at Hungary. I think Lando's going to take P2. Maybe we get some more fighting out of it, but I still think at the end of the day, Oscar's the more confident driver right now, especially after Spa.
Yeah.
And then P3, say Lewis.
Great.
I think after a drive like Spa, we see the Mercedes. Not the Mercedes. Jesus, what year am I in? The Ferrari has the pace. The Ferrari has the pace. I think, not to jinx him, knock on wood again, but I think it's time. It's about time before we go into the official summer break that Lewis catches a little bit of a break. He gets a good qualifying. He keeps it up there. I'm literally expecting like a P5 from Max. I'm expecting like a 1-2 from McLaren and a 3-4 from Ferrari. That's where I'm at. I hope I'm wrong as a Max fan, but that's my full expectations.
I mean, you don't have to pick a Ferrari driver. Each one of us took care of that for you, but unless you want to pick both.
I'm going to go with the simple one. I'm going to go Oscar first, Lando second, because even though Lando has bottled it this past race and he is just not championship material.
Even with the bottling, he was still P2.
He's still going to get P2. His qualifyings are usually pretty good. It's just a race.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to hold on to P2. Max is Max, man. I'm going to go Max P3. And I know you probably don't like that.
It's all right. I respect it. I don't want to say Max, even though I think he would he's a decent pick for P3 just because I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah. Y'all can do
I also
Ferrari
think
drivers.
that, like I said, it's just time for maybe Lewis to catch a little bit of a break.
Yeah. I hope.
So
but after this pass,
he needs his first podium on Ferrari.
Yeah.
Was it last year or the year before that he got pole at Hungary? Lewis. I know he got pole at Hungary within the past 2 years.
It wasn't last year. Okay, last year.
It had to have been the year before that because I know it was the McLaren boys fighting it out last year. It had been the year before. So
did y'all do driver of the day?
Driver of the day. I think if Lewis gets podium, it's Lewis. Lewis takes it back to back.
I'm gonna go with a different. But after he did this past race, I think he could get a result this race. I think Yuki.
Yuki?
I think if Yuki can do anything that he did this past weekend, and
then finish in the points.
Yeah, finishing the points, and Red Bull doesn't screw him, I think he could get driver of the day. Like, especially if it's a good result. Like,
he had the potential to get his best finish this weekend, and that pit stop.
I mean,
everybody one stopped the race, so that one pit stop was all it took.
I need to throw a curveball. I mean, Nico Hulkenberg got a podium and got driver of the day.
I respect it.
Right. That's why I'm going to go with mine. Mine, I'm going to go with Pierre Gasly for driver of the day.
Okay.
It's a track where you don't have to have a lot of top line speed. That's Alpine written all over it, baby. So I think Pierre has been having quietly. I mean, first off, for him to have a P10 at Spa this weekend.
I mean, he's been driving his ass off.
Incredible this weekend.
It was P9, wasn't it?
I think it was P10.
No, he was P10. You're right.
P10. But for him to stay in and get a point at least in that car that literally loses 3 to 4 tenths a second on the straight line and still be able to keep it up in the corners, Pierre's been driving his butt off this season. I feel like this is a race that he can finally get rewarded maybe with a 5th or a 6th place finish. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he's going to do in qualifying. Pierre tends to do decent in qualifying, and like the events benefit him a little bit, like in Brazil last year. But I think it's going to be another one of those weekends, especially with rain possibly considered. Like it could happen. Yeah,
it is looking like it's going to rain in Hungary.
And I mean, that's another
FIA
reason.
Has anything to say about that,
right? That's just another reason why I think. Right, the good Lord. I think that's the reason why I think Alpine can actually get a top 5 finish. I don't want to say it. Oddly enough, I don't know why. This is just a vibe I've had in my head too. If it's not Pierre, I would go with Alonso. Okay. Alonso's been doing pretty decent the past couple weeks too.
Okay, yeah, and then shout out Alex for getting in the points.
Yeah. Qualified P5.
Yeah, qualified P5, finished P5, right? P6 behind George. Hey, man. The Williams is just doing what they can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody expected this from Williams this season at all. So the fact that they're finishing in points consistently.
Yeah, speaking of bad luck.
And Carlos finished in the points during the sprint.
Got their best sprint finish they've ever had in a race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Williams is back, baby.
Just a bad luck. Like we've been talking about bad luck.
Bad luck. And I think it took a little bit for Carlos to get used to the car. I think they're about where they're going to be. Hopefully they could do nothing but improve the car into next year and get better. I would love to see Williams on a podium one day soon, you know? Yeah. Maybe even this season. The hat's waiting. Right. The hat's waiting. If not, I'm going to wear it randomly one day just for the hell of it because I need it to come through already. Away from the races, away from everything else, I think we got to mention that Bottas, and I talked about it a little bit earlier in the episode. Bottas is pretty much looking like he's a sealed deal at Cadillac. Cadillac won't release anything official, whether it's Checo, whether it's Bottas, whether it's Mick. But it seems like from the inside scoop that's coming out, they want 2 experienced drivers. It's looking like it's going to be Checo and Bottas. Bottas, when asked about Alpine, pretty much said no, not happening. So that leaves Cadillac or, hell, who knows, Red Bull maybe. But it's looking like Cadillac for him. I think that's a strong team.
Yeah. New
team on the grid, and you got Checo Perez and Valtteri Bottas as your drivers. You can't ask for much more, man. Out of a new team, hope.
Just look at that 2021 season. Both of them were the second drivers of those 2 dominant drivers, and they were putting in good results that whole year with those cars.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, what kind of car Cadillac puts. I mean, if Cadillac does anything in F1 similar to what they do in endurance racing or like that, it's promising, So we'll see. Like I said, it was worth mentioning that report came out that it's pretty much all but a done deal. So I'm still a fan. I'm still going to buy me some Cadillac gear.
Oh, yeah.
And if you would like to apply for the Alpine driving position, please apply on Indeed. We are accepting applications as we speak, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man.
Indeed. Dude, anybody in that car can't, anybody. I just want an experienced driver. I just want somebody back. I mean, dude, I was kind of happy when Ocon left just because the vibes got better, but honestly, I'm missing Ocon, dude. Yeah. Like, it's that bad. Like,
I mean, him and Behrman are doing their thing at Haas. So.
Yeah, so it's that bad.
Any last thoughts on Spa or going into Hungary? Short, quick thoughts. Into the episode.
Something, Mark?
I mean, F1 has just outgrown Spa. Spa's a great track, but unfortunately,
I think
F1 has just outgrown it.
We've been saying that about too many tracks. I think F1 needs to when you start outgrowing more than just one track like Monaco, when you're outgrowing tracks like Spa and Suzuka, maybe it's time to reevaluate what you have at the cars and see what changes can be made. And hopefully 2026 helps with that.
Yeah, like I said, hopefully 2026 change that.
Two quick things for me. I cannot wait for this regulations to end. These floors have absolutely destroyed any chances of passing because of the dirty air. There's too much dirty air that comes off these floors. I think that's
flat floors next year, baby.
The flat floors next year can't come soon enough. That'll help with the dirty air a lot. And there was just an odd coincidence that happened. I saw someone tweet this out. So I promise this isn't hating on anybody, but so obviously Oscar got the win this weekend. He got his 8th win. Charles is on the podium with him. He has 8 wins. Lando has 8 wins as well. And the person that actually threw the flag at the end was Jackie Ickx, who finished with 8 career wins in his career too, which was the weirdest stat, but I just at least wanted to mention it.
No,
because
I've
seen that too.
I was like, what the? Everybody on the
and shout out my boy Danny Rick, finished his career with 8 wins.
Yep.
He's up there now too.
They're coming for us, boys. They're
McLaren
coming
can't
for
keep
us.
getting away with this shit. Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts other than I hope Max can maximize, and we'll see. I don't know. We'll see if somebody can play spoiler for the McLaren like we say every week. Other than that, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe to Apollo HEU. Follow us on all our socials. The links are down in the description. Shout out our sponsors, Apollo's Big City Wings, Apollo's Wing Joint, Houston's Wing Joint, and shout out to Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. Zing responsibly. As always, I'm Junior, Mark, Ivan. We're around the circuit. We'll see y'all next week to recap Hungary, and hopefully it's something exciting, unlike Spa was.
Yeah.
We're out.
See you.
Peace. Don't forget to submit those applications.